Hey y'all, I want to share with everyone the fastest way to get to max level in the final dungeon of Metaphor ReFantazio. This method is not only the fastest way to gain levels, it's also safe, it requires very little effort, and you don't even have to go into squad battle ever, regardless of how low level you enter the dungeon. This will hopefully help you prepare for the final boss or get ready for New Game Plus. I should also note that if you do want to try this, watch the video info before going into the final dungeon. Trust me, it matters. Now, first off, let's discuss what's already established in the community. I think most players that's at least been to the final dungeon knows of the Crown Homotentus, aka the big teeth that can spawn here. They're notable for having the highest level of all the regular mobs in the game, at level 88. This matters because monsters give less XP if your level is higher than theirs. Each big tooth gives around 3000 XP per kill, and since you fight against 2 during squad battle, that's a total of 6000 per spawn. This has, without question, the best value per kill. Yet, the big teeth are not easy to come by. Every tooth monster that spawns in this dungeon has a small chance of becoming a big tooth. Fortunately, there are 2 trance crystals that endlessly spawn teeth monsters. In addition to this, trance crystals in the final dungeon actually respawn. All you have to do is reload the area. And here's a pro tip from me. The typical way you'd reload the map is either by going to a different map or entering and exiting Academia. But I use a different method for this dungeon. You can also respawn the crystals by loading a save. You might then say, what the hell, you can't just save anywhere. You either have to exit the dungeon or go to the save kitty, where you can just enter Academia. And while both those are true, we're missing another way to save. Whenever you pick up an item, the game auto-saves for you. And it just so happens that there's an item right beside the trance crystals that spawn teeth. If the crystals break, instead of running to another area, you can just pick up the item and load the autosave. With how snappy menuing is in this game, well, just look at how quick you can do this. Furthermore, after loading the save, you'll notice that the item is still there. This is because the game saves in the state before you picked it up. Case in point, you can use items as a pseudo save point. Doing this will save so much time grinding away these crystals. Now, for the second point, the big teeth are actually pretty tough to kill. They have 6000 HP, they resist almighty, and they reflect attacks. Fortunately, they die to a single Armageddon's final sire, the Prince archetype's ultimate skill. It costs a lot of MP, but you can just buy Magla potions from Nurus to top up. You can also guarantee the unscathed bonus this way. But there's another way to kill them. You can just break the crystal they spawned from. The big tooth will die with it, and you'll reap the usual rewards. But only from that single tooth and no unscathed bonus. But at least you don't have to go through the effort of fighting it. I mentioned all of this first because from what I see in the community, this is the go-to grind spot in the final dungeon, and it makes sense. The second highest level mob in this map is only level 75. Yet, grinding the big teeth isn't the best way to level. It's not even close. Now, there are plenty of enemies in the final dungeon, and going through them all will net you a pretty good amount of XP. But there's a singular best spot to grind for anything, be it for XP, Archetype XP, Mag, or money. And it's right here. We'll use this item as our save point, and our targets are the crystals that spawn fish, the aforementioned level 75 mob. But we don't just go up to them and slash them to bits because they're a pain in squad battle. There are several details that make this area stand out in particular. First off is the crystal themselves. There's 3 here in total, and 3 fish will also spawn. But it doesn't mean that each crystal spawns 1 fish. Only the one nearest the item actually spawns them. So, to get the rewards from the 3 fish without squad battle, we only have to destroy that crystal. What you can do upon arriving at the final dungeon is this. Run past everything to go to this spot, destroy the crystal to kill the fish without going into squad battle, pick up the item nearby, and then reload your autosave. Then you just destroy the crystal again. Of course, if the item isn't there anymore because you picked it up and saved over it, then you'll have to respawn the crystals the hard way. This is why I said listen to the method before entering the dungeon. Now, before telling you of how much we get, I have to tell you the best archetype for the job. Merchants are typically the choice for grinding since you get bonus cash, but for that, you'd have to get up close and personal. It's a risky strat, especially at low levels. What we want to do is take out the crystals from afar, so we'll use a ranged weapon. Our choices then are the gunner and the faker. Note though that the trance crystals always break after 10 hits. A full gunner combo will do 3 hits, but a faker combo does 8. A volley of just 4 attacks from faker is the best way to break crystals. It only takes 3 seconds, so here's the loop you're gonna do. Get in range to lock onto the crystal with the faker, let loose 4 shots, pick up the item, then reload the autosave. The way I do it here, I destroy a crystal every 15 seconds. 1 fish gives 1k XP, so 3 fish nets us 3k. That comes down to 12,000 XP per minute. Compare that to the 7k you get from the big teeth that maybe spawns every 2 to 3 minutes. But that's only at low levels. The fish, being at level 75, will start losing value much earlier. At level 77, the XP we get from each fish will go down to 600, 60% of what it was. It caps out at level 82, where we get just 25% of what we used to get. But from 77 onwards, we can now kill them in overworld combat, and the method changes here. Instead of breaking the crystal, it'll now be more efficient to snipe the fish as they spawn in. We make use of locking on here, changing target when a fish spawns in. The area we're in is pretty open, and the fish have a short aggro range. If we throw knives at them while undetected, we'll actually kill them in just 1 hit. Some fish will spawn close enough to us to trigger aggro, in which case it takes 2 attacks to take it down. And we can snipe from a very comfortable distance. We barely have to move from this spot. This is what I mean by the grind being safe and effortless. You don't need a specific build or a specific skill. A faker with even the weakest throwing knife will work. If the fish spawns right next to the crystal, you'll hit them both since the faker attack has a bit of an AoE. It's unavoidable, so you can just use the item to reload and respawn when the crystal breaks. Now, how good are the rewards here? Let's take into consideration the lowest value. At level 82 and above, I managed to get 10k XP every 2 minutes. It's still better rate than the teeth, mainly because fish spawning is at least consistent. We don't have to depend on lucky tooth spawns to grind effectively. Now, let's also talk about the other stuff we get. The archetype XP also gets a level penalty, but it caps out at around 60%. At low levels, we get 150 plus, but at level 82 and above, we get 113 per kill. And yes, I have archetypal rings equipped. It is honestly not great. You compare that to the 3600 we get from the big teeth, this spot seems inferior. Yeah, it would be if not for the jeweled roots given by the 3 crystals. Remember, only 1 crystal spawns mobs, meaning the other 2 are actually freebies. Once you can kill the fish in overworld combat, it's actually a good idea that you destroy the free crystals as soon as you can. It'll make targeting fish that spawn in much easier. Thus, you can passively gain more archetype XP this way. Also, you only gain the massive hero leaves from the big tooth when you're lower level than them. At level 95, 1 tooth fight only gives 1.7k archetype XP, and that's around 12 hero leaves per fight. Destroying 3 crystals gives almost the same value, but for much lower effort. For the other 2 drops, mag and cash aren't affected by level. The going rate per 2 minutes is 24,000 mag and 130,000 gold. And I gotta say, those numbers are amazing. If for some reason you need extra dough, you can also sell the dissecting katanas the fishies drop. It sells for 40,000 a pop. Mag is also another issue with farming the big teeth. They don't nearly give enough mag for you to keep unlocking archetypes. You'll end up with lots of hero leaves and nowhere to use them towards. That won't happen when you grind fish instead. Even so, it is still grind, so maxing out won't be that quick. Using this method, I went from level 70 to 99 in a total of 4 hours. But that includes the time I spent on the menu to unlock and rank up archetypes for party members. And even so, I couldn't max out every archetype for every character, as you can see. But it's probably because I grinded while on hard difficulty. So yeah, that's another thing. If you set the difficulty to easy, you'll gain 50% more mag and 25% more archetype XP. You can then change back the difficulty after you grind. The method is no different because you'll never actually fight the fish. To finish up, I'll give one last tip. While grinding like this, I actually think storing hero leaves will just slow you down. Once you get a good amount, it takes time to use them via the menu. So if your goal is to max out multiple archetypes, it's actually better to equip ones you haven't mastered yet. That way, you won't spend as much time in the menu using up those hero leaves. So there you go, that's the best way to grind in the final dungeon that I've found. I hope you try it out. Leave a like if you did, comment if this works for you, or maybe you want to add something to to further improve the tech. Happy leveling, see y'all next time.